Hey, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Rakal Kodash, Barakatah. I want to give double honor to our apostles who are elders who rule well, and blessed salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. Now, I want to do this lesson. It's going to be more of an impromptu. When I was in process of thinking about the lesson, it's so much to it that it's just more of an impromptu. Even though I watched it, it's called a Netflix series called Rotten 2, that has to do with food exports. Now, when you know about the mafia, starting off, the mafia wasn't a people that dealt with crack and blatant drugs, weed and shit like that. They dealt with food exports. They dealt with bananas and shit like that. Just pitching that shit out there. But overall, I was watching, when I watched within the series, you had situations to where, it reminds me where Esau and his inventions, though his words are smoother than butter, his disrespecting of the laws. There's so many aspects. I highly advise brothers to watch it. Give you so much insight on what we already know, but it not only solidifies, but it gives an understanding of Esau's wickedness, man. Because you had a company dealing with, not company, but it started off with avocados. As simple as it may sound, but they were growing avocados, and it started off, they're making millions of dollars off these avocados. It became popular. And basically, through Bill Clinton, they opened the NAFTA, which is the Canada and Mexico and United States, North American borders to trade. When they did that, they basically opened the avocado trade from Mexico to the United States. Now, for the average avocado grower in California, because you only could grow it, the avocado couldn't grow below 30 degrees according to the documentary, so they only could grow it certain parts of the year. But in Mexico, the weather is so right that you can grow year round, which is what they was doing. So what happened was Esau was growing it in America. You got a motherfucker named Alejandro Ezekiel. You could tell the nigga's an Edomite though, man. You know what I'm saying? He probably married a Spanish bitch or changed his name so he can live in Mexico, but that's further down the line. But long story short, they were growing, and they was afraid of that Mexico and its output would shove out their output and flood them underwater. So needless to say, that was a problem. Mexico started growing their avocados, and what happened was basically they took the out-season avocado problem out the way. So say during the winter, these farmers in California aren't able to grow their avocados. During the winter, they were able to grow them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not able to grow them, but they were able to still produce and still provide avocados during the season that they weren't able. So it actually helped their business, so-called. So once you go into Mexico, they're growing avocados, then they already had a cartel. But this is what caught my attention. You had a cartel that they sold drugs, but they didn't deal with, women, children, and pedestrians, And I found that believable because when I grew up, that's how it went. You didn't deal, the drug dealers and the motherfuckers that was into that street life, so-called, didn't really fuck with. They did not fuck with pedestrians and children and women like that. You know what I'm saying? So what happened was you had the Zetas. The Zetas was a mafia or a gang. It started out as a military group that was trained by Israelis, Americans, and Canadians. That was a red flag right there. And they said, this is how wicked Esau is. Esau will tell you, they infiltrated, the Mexican mafia infiltrated that group, and they became hostile towards civilians. You know what I'm saying? That shows you how wicked Esau is. That's where the words are smooth and butter, but war is in their heart. You know what I'm saying? They create a military group to so-called protect people, but this so-called group is infiltrated by people that don't seek after the lives of they don't seek after the lives of normal citizens, but all of a sudden they do, based off the mafia. No, they were a personalized military, because Esau's never gonna come in with his military and say, y'all gotta stop these avocados, and then because the world's gonna say, wait, hey, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. That's illegal. You know what I'm saying? So they came in with a contracting military company and did it the same thing, and then disguised it and used their propaganda to say, hey, you know, y'all basically are your gang, which is American based, is seeking the lives of citizens, so we got to shut y'all down. And once they come in, then this shit starts. Second part that caught my attention was when all that happened, then all the laws came in. So now they basically had a level of control over the avocados in Mexico. They went to Chile and started growing avocados there. Like, it reminds me of what Obadiah, the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, it says, would they not leave some grapes? You know what I'm saying? When a robber steals, would he not leave some grapes? You know, Esau's supposed to be satisfied. You're already making billions of dollars, because they wasn't making millions. I mean, wasn't making $1 million. They weren't making 150 to 130 million dollars, around that bracket. It wasn't like no chump change that they were making off these avocados. They went from 50 million to 100, 250, you know. So when they did this, they basically, in Chile, they started growing these avocados, and basically they got some representatives from the Chilean government to go to the Americas, or specifically Chicago, got them to go out there, go to like a seminar or a class to show the government how to price resources like water, because in order to grow something, you need water. So what they did was, once they figured that out and took that information, which is what the scriptures say, you know, the Most High made man upright, but he saw many adventures, and then he said, learn not the way of the heathen, right? So when the Chileans came back to their country, they basically implemented that idea and that invention, and basically they said they controlled the water, the natural flow of the water. They started diverting the water to whoever paid for it, right? So when they did that, they said everybody got a chance at the water. That's how America works, capitalism. They presented everybody got a chance at the water, but whoever got the most money has the first chance. It's not like first dibs. It's basically, no, I got $1 million. I pay for fucking such amount of gallons. If you do that, what happened was it diverted the natural flow of the water through the streams of the communities, and it basically dried out the communities from the natural resources like peach trees, avocados, maybe this or that, right? So these people were growing their plants naturally, and through the stream that they were at, and Esau basically took that resource through Esau's invention, they took that resource and redirected it to the rich. And some of those rich people, like I said down the line, were Edomites that just land plotted. You know what I'm saying? And came down there and bought land, and then bought the water. You know what I'm saying? And basically is stealing from those people. Just like this, you know, like Puerto Rico, Puerto Riches, and went down there and stole from them, right? So now people's land is drying up from, if Esau would have never taught them how to sell water, saying you gotta buy this water flow and we'll push it to you, they would have had that natural water flow to live properly, right? Like niggas always talk about the Nile River and the Nile, so living by the Nile. Just imagine if Esau made a dam and said, look, you can't fuck with this water unless you pay for it, and we'll let a certain flow go through, and you can, that's how much you get. And then it was so bad that they were stealing. You know what I'm saying? They were stealing the flow of the water. They got a certain amount, but then they just took the flow and said, fuck it, without acknowledging the people. And the people began to starve and began to live in poverty because, of course, fruit ain't growing on trees anymore. The land is dying. They weren't respecting the land Sabbaths, amongst many other things. And lastly, because you're going back to the land Sabbath, going back to California, they were growing and growing and growing. And, you know, companies were doing certain things. But at the end of the day, the land Sabbath, they wouldn't honor it. They just kept on growing these avocados. And within the documentary, it was like, you know, it takes 16 gallons to basically produce one full avocado. You know, so they're growing and growing and growing. And basically the fucking land started dying. You know, the guy's talking about maybe he's crying and shit. Esau crying and shit, acting like it's a fucking tragedy. Your ass ain't respecting the land Sabbath, man. The fucking the earth started fighting back and not producing rain, nor was it producing good soil. You know, so they'll sit there and cry, but your ass to use all that science and tell you about precipitation and how the flow of the water at the bottom goes to the top and in a circle and give you a rain. But you drying out the fucking land by growing groves and acres of avocado that suck up so much water. You know what I'm saying? And now you out here pouting and pooting. But it's so much shit that Esau's the border of wickedness, man. You know what I'm saying? When they stretch out their borders, so such is their wickedness, man. When they started growing these avocados, you could tell that was a mafia ensued thing when you had the Zetas and they fucking trained these people, basically trained them to fucking go in there and fuck with those Mexicans and fuck them people up and indoctrinate them and create violence within their society outside of the gang violence that they were dealing with the narcos. You know what I'm saying? Then after that they'll send the CIA in or send these people in and then set up a puppet to do whatever, most likely to sell avocados at a certain price and do it. You know, that's Esau, man. And you wonder why the nations, they drinking from your cup and now they're mad, you know? So I just wanted to bring that out. I highly advise brothers to watch that documentary. It's called Rotten 2. You know what I'm saying? From what I researched, but I double check. But it's called Rotten 2. You know, it's a really good. It go over of course it go over weed and shit. I haven't gotten to see that, but chocolate and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So you know, brothers should watch that. Hey, Yahbashim Ashah, Bashim Kakadash Brakatah. Call all Yahbashim Ashah, Bashim Kakadash Brakatah. Double answer apostles, elders will rule well. Blessed salutations to you, brothers, at that teaching and enduring truth sincerity. Hey, shalom.